So there we have it really. Thylacines will be roaming the earth again within 10 years. Alright everyone, how are you doing? Welcome along back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about everyone's favourite extinct animal, and that is the thylacine. Now if you're new to the channel here, we've done loads of videos on the thylacine in the past. We've interviewed scientists that helped try and search for the thylacine up in the northern part of Australia. We've interviewed Forrest Galante. We've heard stories from people who think they've seen a thylacine. We've heard video clips, audio clips, anything like that is on this channel, and it's in one big playlist for you to go and have a look at, so make sure you do. We've also spoken about what's going to be the core topic of this video today, and that is the de-extinction or the cloning of the thylacine. Now yes, I can confirm that no one has gone out there and found a live specimen of a thylacine knocking about in Tasmania. That's not what this video is about, unfortunately. But however, there is big news, and we are going to talk about that for this video, and I'm quite excited by it. There's a lot of things that have been said, and I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty interesting. So before we get into it, don't forget to smash a like on this video, and also subscribe if you're new to keep up to date with all things thylacine. Right then, let's talk about this news. What's actually happened? Firstly, we need a bit of context. A few months ago, the University of Melbourne announced in a statement that they were going to try and de-extinct the Tasmanian tiger. They got a $5 million grant, and it was going to be led by Dr. Andrew Pask, and hopefully within the next 30 years or so, thylacines would be back in Australia, in Tasmania, roaming the wild once again. Fast forward it, and this is the big news. Another company has got involved, and they're called Colossal. The Tiger Lab from Melbourne in Australia has joined with Colossal, and they've now made a big genetic team to try and de-extinct the thylacine. There's more money involved, there's more people backing it, it's a bigger project, and hopefully this might change things in the world. Now Colossal, you may have heard of before. They've come out and said, we're going to bring back the woolly mammoth. They're in that process right now, they're trying to do it. The second animal on their list happens to be the thylacine, the Tasmanian tiger, and that was announced in the last 24 hours or so. Now if you go on Colossal's website, which is colossal.com, there's a thylacine section there. You can press it and you get a pretty good web page explaining what they're doing, why they're doing it, and how they're doing it. And I'm going to walk you through those 10 steps that they've come out with to say this is how we're gonna bring the thylacine back to Australia. So step one is quite simply to sequence the thylacine genome. It says here in step one, the genome was sequenced by Dr. Andrew Pask in 2018 from DNA extracted from a 108-year-old specimen, and then it was updated in April 2022. Step two is going to be to sequence the closest living relatives. Step three is computational biology, which basically means they want to get the strongest genes that resemble the thylacine the most and put that into action. Step four is to establish marsupial cell lines and iPSCs, and if you haven't got a clue about genetics like myself, that makes no sense whatsoever, but cool. We move on to step five. This is to gene edit thylacine traits into dasyurid genome. Basically the closest living relative to the thylacine is going to have thylacine DNA put into it. Step six, and we're going to transfer the nucleus to the egg, and it's talked about that maybe the little donor is going to be the surrogate for the thylacine. Step seven is going to create the thylacine embryo, and they're going to push development of embryo until ready for transfer to surrogate, which again might be the donor. Step eight is the surrogacy itself. It's going to implant fully formed embryo into the surrogate, which will be the donor. Step 9 is gestation, and it's saying the embryo is going to gestate for an additional period up to 42 days, and then the final step is going to be step 10, the maturation and the birth of this thylacine-like creature. Now, it's not going to be a thylacine. This is very much Jurassic Park style stuff here. They're pulling things that are quite like a thylacine and pushing it into something else to make something that is like a thylacine, but ultimately it isn't. It's going to look like a thylacine, it will move like a thylacine, it will hunt like a thylacine, do all of these things like a thylacine, but it's not going to be an actual thylacine because they can't get the specific living cells from a thylacine because there are none left. And it's the same thing with the woolly mammoth. Because there's no living cells of a woolly mammoth left, they can't do that process. They have to grab elephants and make them hairy, basically, is what's going to happen. And the thylacine is going to be the same sort of thing. They've got what they can make out of it, and they're going to push it together and see what comes out. So that's the 10-step process on what's going to happen, and the co-founder has come out and said he expects this to happen within a decade. 10 years this is going to happen. He reckons we're going to have a walking, a moving, a hunting thylacine back in Tasmania in 10 years. Now, the co-founder has also gone on to say, we define success as when we can rewild them, and I think that's a decade-long process. I do think that we will have thylacines much sooner than that. We made a very public announcement that we believe that our mammoths will be here in 4 to 6 years, with 22 months of that being gestation. Thylacines, meanwhile, have a 14-day gestation, so I think it's safe to say this would be one of the first animals de-extincted. Now, I'm not going to lie, that sounds mad. That sounds crazy. And I think for me, listening to that and the way he's so confident and sure about it is really interesting to listen to, because this has never been done before. Like, yeah, all right, we cloned a sheep once, but the de-extinction of an animal, or like this whole process, is very Jurassic Park like, and I'm a bit baffled by it. Like, this guy's come out and said 10 years, that's it, yeah, they're going to be in Tasmania, mate, we're going to have loads of them, restoring ecosystems and that. So I think, I don't know, like, to read this, for me personally, it sounds wicked, don't get me wrong, it sounds amazing, but at the same time I'm a bit like, are we sure this is going to happen? Are you sure? Like, you sound confident, but really? Now, the co-founder again, he goes on to say, our goal in anything is to get as genetically close as possible. We want something that will have the right phenotypes, but also be in the environment and fill the ecological void that was previously lost. We've been very bullish on saying that we are not trying to create an identical species or create an exact clone, because we don't have the living cells. You can't really bring back a mammoth or bring back a thylacine, but you can engineer one. Honestly, it's a bit mad, isn't it? The way this guy talks almost sounds like he is making some sort of like Jurassic Park sort of thing, innit? Now, the company Colossal was founded last year by Ben Lamb, who I've been mentioning just now, and also George Church, who was the Robert Winthrop Professor of Genetics at Harvard Medical School. Now, their aim is to create an end-to-end de-extinction toolkit. They want to be the pioneers of this going forward, and these are the first 2 animals they've got on their target list. They've had some backers as well throw money into this cause, and big names such as Chris Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth, and well, basically the Hemsworth brothers, are involved. They've put their money towards this. They want to see it happen. They obviously believe in the project, and that's pretty interesting. That's pretty cool. Now, it might sound a bit weird. What do you mean Chris Hemsworth? Thor's in on the action. Well, yeah, he's a bit of an animal lover, to be honest, and in 2020 he helped release Tasmanian devils back into the mainland of Australia. So the man likes animals, and he's obviously got an affinity for the thylacine, which is sick, like, and money's been thrown at it. That's what we need to see, rate that. But let's talk about why this is happening. Why are we trying to de-extinct animals? What's going on there? Well, the idea with the Tasmanian tiger is to quite simply put an apex predator back where it should be. The island of Tasmania now doesn't have its apex predator, or at least one like the thylacine that would do that sort of job, and over time you would see the impacts of that. Just take a look at the UK, for example. There's masses wrong with it because we don't have apex predators anymore. We don't have a lynx, we don't have wolves, we don't have bears, we don't have anything like that. That's all gone, and it makes a big difference. You can see deer running riot, rabbits run riot, all these things, and it doesn't create a very balanced ecosystem. These herbivores that are running around unchallenged by anything, getting to eat anything and just ruining the trees and the plants, they're going to be kept in check. They're going to have to move around with these big apex predators chasing them about. And it sounds like a pretty interesting goal to me. The idea is to restore an ecosystem with what's thought to be an extinct animal. Now, I don't know what you guys think about this, but to me, it sounds pretty interesting. The idea of putting an apex predator back into Tasmania that was tried, tested, and it was proven to have worked, and the only reason really that it went extinct was at the fault of humans. I don't know, I quite like the idea, but I want to put that to you guys in the comments. What do you think about that? If you got any thoughts, like, do you think this is morally right? Do you think it's morally wrong? Now, for me personally, and I think a lot of you watching this video, you're going to be interested to hear about this. You're going to be definitely interested to hear about maybe being able to see a thylacine or a thylacine-like creature in the flesh within a decade. That sounds, I mean, it sounds almost too good to be true, but let's say that does happen. That's going to be insane. By the time, before I'm 50, I could be seeing a thylacine. But there's also going to be other people as well who think, hang on a second, the thylacine is still alive, it's still extant, why are we doing all of this when you can just go and find them? What's all that about? And I do think that's quite an interesting thing. Have we searched the deep remote parts of Tasmania? Have we searched Papua New Guinea? those questions are unanswered, really. I mean, Tasmania has had some searches over the years and it's come back with nothing, but Papua New Guinea, has that ever had anything like that? There's been talks of it happening, but really nothing has ever gone on. So really, should we be putting money into trying to find this animal and proving its existence still, or should we be focusing now towards the future and trying to get this animal back, or an animal like that animal back, and then putting that back into the world? What do you guys think about that? I'd love to know your thoughts. I think I'm for it. I think if I had enough money, I'd be an investor as well. I'd like to see the woolly mammoth back. I would like to see a thylacine in the wild. All these sorts of things I think are really interesting. So there we have it, really. Thylacines will be roaming the earth again within 10 years. And that sounds pretty mental to me. Just a quick video today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out the Patreon, merchandise, any of that sort of stuff. I've been Cookie. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.